So ghosting. Have you ever been ghosted?
I think so. I mean, it's been so long that I can't really pinpoint a certain time, but I'm pretty sure I have. Like back in the dating times, I think it's hurtful. And I hear about it all the time from other people. And what my thing about ghosting is that, okay, I can understand being afraid of confrontation, right? Being afraid of saying, hey, I'm not really interested, period. Or, hey, I'm not really interested because of X, Y, and Z. I think that second part is even harder because you're like actually saying, okay, this specific thing is not what I'm looking for. But I do think like it kind of puts the other person in a weird position because if they are interested in you and you're just ghosting them, it kind of makes them look crazy. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by crazy?
Like in the loose sense of the term, but like if they're interested in you and they're texting you and they're saying, hey, how's it going? How's your day going? Or would you be interested in going out again? Or, they continuously try to reach out to you and you don't respond to them. It makes them look like they're kind of clingy. Right? But if you just say, hey, I am not interested, maybe that person will respect that. Hopefully they will respect that and not try to contact you again. Because if somebody is interested in you, they're trying to show you that. But you're just ghosting them and you're putting them in a position where it makes them look like they're stage 5 clingers.
I hear you.
What do you think about it?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking in terms of like, why do people ghost in the first place, right? It's this inability to be direct with people, inability to be comfortable with uncomfortable feelings, to be able to tell someone the truth to a certain degree that I'm not interested, right?
Exactly.
That's a confrontation in itself. And I think people selfishly choose not to have to deal with that. And therefore ghosting is just an easier option
for them.
Right.
Yes.
But the flip side, because I originally was not thinking about it from that perspective. I was thinking about it from like, well, why do people do it? Like, is it, it's a fear kind of response where it's like, well, I just don't want to deal with that, or I'm scared to deal with that.
You rarely ever hear about the other side.
Right, exactly. Where it's like, okay, but what if I am interested and someone's not responding? What is the appropriate amount of contacting someone or reaching out to somebody before you realize like, okay, they're ghosting me, which means that they're not interested, which would have been cool if somebody said that. But
yeah,
like, where's that line?
Yeah. And that's a good point because like I hear about instances where it's not just like an all around ghosting. Sometimes it's like periodic ghosting. Like,
what do you mean?
As in, you text somebody and they're responding to you and then they ghost you for like 3 days. And then they'll respond or they'll text you or you text them again and they respond, right? And so like sometimes it's even more mixed sort of signals, right? So it makes things really weird because it's like, how much grace do you give somebody?
In terms of like if they keep ghosting you on and off?
That, but also the flip side of that. Like how much patience do you give somebody?
In what regard though? Like, are you talking about like if somebody is consistently like not responding for long periods of time and I have to sit here and wait? Do I text them again or
absolutely,
like do I keep waiting?
Like you said, like what are the boundaries? What are the kind of like like how long do you actually attempt this for? And that's what I mean is like sometimes it's not even just black and white. Like, okay, they're just not responding to me. So like, okay, maybe I should just stop texting them and making that step. But sometimes they do respond, but it's just like there's days in between. So it makes things really complicated.
You just overcomplicated this so hard because now I'm trying to figure out what is, because it's personal. I think it's individualized. And because I'm okay. So the way that I'm looking at it is this other person genuinely someone who cannot have access to their phone, right? Like, for example, for us, right? We're therapists. So I do not really check my phone. I am with my client for an extended amount of time, a big chunk of time. So if you try to call me while I'm in session, you're not going to get me, right? And if I have a lot of sessions together, then I probably won't be able to respond within that whole entire work day.
Okay,
right?
that's fair.
So
What about after work?
okay, but is
What about
this
the next morning? What about during lunch?
okay? So that's what I'm saying. Like, is that a good enough excuse to be able to say, I'm not ghosting you, I'm just busy for an extended period of time? Then in that case, it's like, where are your expectations of that person? Because truly, I will not be able to. So if that's not something that you're okay with because you need me to respond instantaneously,
Consistently,
I'm not your person. You know what I'm saying? So I think it really has to be very personalized. Like, is this person home all day and they have the ability, or you see that they're constantly online and not responding to you? Then that should be a pretty clear sign that, hey, they are not prioritizing talking to me, versus their career or whatever they're doing occupies their time and their attention to the point where I can't be the priority because whatever they're doing is the priority.
Yeah, I think at the end of it all, it's all about communication. Whether it's truly ghosting, like just never responding, or periodically ghosting, right? Because at the end of the day, you never really know until somebody like literally spells it out for you. Like, hey, you know, my job is really tough. Sometimes I won't be able to get back to you even the same day. You know, I hope you can understand that. We can come to some kind of compromise. Or, hey, listen, I'm not really interested. But back to your point originally is, that's hard for people to do. But,
to confront.
Yes,
Yeah.
to confront somebody and say, hey, I'm not really interested.
I think we gotta change this type of cultural acceptance of getting ghosted. It's really unpleasant, and it takes away from you having to be honest with another person. And I'm a
yourself,
believer
too.
well, yes, of course, but I'm a believer in karma to the point of like, dude, I'm not the greatest person. I've done some stuff, but also I've learned from those things.
Yes.
You know, it's like, you can't have this as something you do, you know, like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, ghost this person. I think if
Not respond.
you know what I'm saying, because it eventually you will feel what that is like, and you have to do your best to encourage yourself to be honest, to be able to tolerate those type of conversations, because they're little building blocks to more serious conversations you're going to have in the future. So it's almost a practice to be able to even have those smallest conversations. And yes, you don't know how some people are going to react. And of course, in other situations, it's not safe.
Right.
But those are, you know, so small in comparison to how often I'm sure you, as much as I, hear this, that it's like, oh, well, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just not going to reply. Why not? Just be honest. You know, but it's so difficult because there's all these different fears, or just, I don't like being uncomfortable, or I don't want to have to say that.
Or even something like, I don't want to hurt them, or I don't want to come off as like so direct. Okay, but I think if you really think about it, you're hurting them anyway.
Right.
Because you're kind of just, you're saying they're not important enough to even have a conversation or make a statement that says, hey, you know, I'm not interested. Maybe we should just not talk.
Okay, so I got another curveball for you, actually, because I just thought of this. What if you are someone who gets convinced easily? So let's say I feel like I have no choice but to ghost you, because if, let's say I'm reaching out to you to say, hey, listen, you know, I mean, you're a really great gal, but, you know, it's just... And then you say, but come on, you know, we'll try again. I'm so awesome and I'm so much fun. Like I was just really anxious, and now I'm, you know, it's like, give me another shot.
Again.
Come on, you know, I've worked so hard. I've been, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm somebody who gets overwhelmed in this situation. And I go, okay. But then again, oh my God, I said, okay, I'll do it. So I don't want to have to call you. I don't want to have to tell you, because I know that I'm not going to be able to hold my ground, and I'll let you convince me, right? So what does that person do in this kind of situation instead of ghosting?
That's a really interesting question. Yeah, that's a hard one, because it's like, if you are typically that person that just kind of gives in, or maybe even is a people pleaser, right? You don't want to say no again, or you don't want to, you know, be direct with your boundary, because you worked up the courage to say, hey, I'm not really interested. And then this person comes at you full force and says, well, I just had a bad day, or, let's try this again. Please come on. Like, I'll do better, or this will be better. I promise, and then you're just like, okay, the people pleaser side of you is like,
or the empath,
like, you feel bad, right?
And you're like, true, somebody you could be off, maybe it'll work. True. Even though you've decided because of all these reasons that this is not a path you want to take, now you're getting sort of talked into something you've already decided against.
I almost want to say, like, in that situation, what would I do is like, maybe just like make a pros and cons list and say, okay, what are the pros of me actually meeting this person again? Like, did I actually like something about this person that maybe makes me think, okay, maybe I judged too hard, or maybe they were having a bad day, but I did like these things about this person, versus like, maybe there aren't things that I liked about this person at all.
Yes, but they just told you that they were just having an off day and they're anxious.
I know.
So now you have to decide if you're going to give this person, and not even decide, you're getting talked into it because they're telling you that the reason you have all these cons on your list is because they had a bad day.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. What would you do?
Honestly, I think this is one of those things where I'd call you and I'd be like...
What if we both don't know?
But it'd be one of those things where I'm like, you have to coach me through this. I think that's what I would need. Is like, dude, I know, like, I want to be able to be direct. I want to have to say what I have to say, but like, help me figure out the words that I can be strong. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I would still want to pursue something that is challenging for me, because it's all about growing and learning, and stuff gets scary and difficult, but you still kind of have to do those things. Those are big monumental moments for your own identity. So I think I would want to just have that conversation with you, like, okay, this is what I'm going to say, and this is how I'm going to say it, and that's that, So I think I would just have somebody to
pep you up a little bit,
to prep me, to kind of talk me through all the potential possibilities, and encourage me to stand my ground with my decision.
You would stand your ground.
You
would want to.
So I feel like the way that this would end up going for me, right? If I reflect a little bit, I would most likely get talked into it.
Okay, fair.
You know what I'm saying? So I would be like, nah, it's not working. Well, yeah, okay, everybody has a bad day,
Oh my God, you would totally be that person.
You know what I'm saying?
You would totally be that person.
And then I would call you in a panic and say, oh my God, dude, like,
what
I don't
should
why? So
absolutely.
So at that point, I would then call back and be like, no. No.
But it takes so much courage to call back and say no.
Yeah. But that's the whole point.
It's a process, though. It's a process.
But I wouldn't want to ghost either. I think if for whatever reason I end up having some type of behavior that is in the ghost-like fashion, is because I'm busy all the time. I'm working all the time. So it's like, dude, if I forgot, my bad. Like, it's as simple as that. It's not like any intention, because truly I prioritize communication, like you said.
You do, yes. But there's definitely people that choose not to respond.
Yes. We got to fix that. We got to fix that.
It's a culture. I mean, it really is. And I hear about it all the time, truly. So it's something to talk about further, and I think explore on like why people do it, and why, it's so hard for people to confront others, in your own behavior. And, it's tough, but I think it can improve, because I don't think ghosting is the answer.
No.
On both ends. Like, it doesn't work for the person getting ghosted or for the person ghosting. Because for the person ghosting, you're just avoiding.
Yeah.
And for the person getting ghosted, like, it's hurtful. Your confidence kind of goes down, even though it will be hurtful anyway when you say, hey, I'm not interested, but at least they will stop wasting their time or wasting their energy, sort of putting in their energy into something that's not going to work out. And they can move on and find somebody that does appreciate them or does want them.
And I mean, and this is kind of step 2 to confronting someone, is also having the courage to tell someone why in a kind way.
Right. Yes.
And I think that's an art in itself, to not kind of get overwhelmed by what's happening and just, have to say what you have to say. But it's important to also be honest if it's, I can't think of a reason off the top of my head right now why you would be like, oh, this isn't kind of a red flag for me or whatever. But you would want to be okay. I can't think of non-goofy examples.
That's
but
okay.
let's say, this person has 7 dogs and it's like, bro, I mean, like all cool and stuff, but
Love
I'm allergic
animals, but
and it's just I'm not gonna ghost you because, oh my God, I found out he has 7 dogs married.
Yeah.
Like I can't call him back. No, I think it's more so like, dude, bro, like this is just not gonna work.
yes.
But it's, I wish I had a better example for that. But I mean, like, at this point, being direct, because then that person, if I had just ghosted that person with the 7 dogs, then it's like this homie's thinking, like, what is it about me? Is it my personality? No, bro.
Right.
It's the fact that you have 7 dogs.
Yeah.
Love dogs. They're amazing animals, but it's just not going to work, right?
No.
So I think it's kind of important to also give that courtesy to someone to be honest on why it's not working.
Yeah.
But then you have to be prepared that if they try to convince you, you have to stand your ground.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, again, ghosting is not the answer. And we need to figure out ways to be able to confront and not kind of
Leave people hanging.
perpetuate that behavior over
Fair.
and over again.
Yes.
It's
Everyone
so common.
be against ghosting.
Absolutely. It's not the answer.